Oh, indeed, indeed.
Well, if it's Sunday and it's 8 a.m. Central, this is the place for you to be. Here we are, once again, not your normal Sunday morning show. I'm Jeffrey Darty, joined as always by Mr. R. Wayne Steiger. Wayne, how are you today?
Any better, I'd be guilty.
Any better, you'd be twins, right?
There you go. Doing well. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great. Just fighting the allergy battle, but we'll
No.
we'll win that eventually. Eventually, all these trees will die.
Give them time.
Wayne, you just told me that the Big Dipper moved. What?
Yeah, I've lived in the same house for 15 years and been an avid backyard astronomer since I was a kid. But anyway, yeah, the Big Dipper's moved. It used to be off to the northeast of where my house sits. Now, exactly at 4 o'clock in the morning, the Big Dipper is almost due west of where I am at. So I'm still trying to figure that one out.
What are your postulations? What are your theories? What are your guesses at this point?
Well, the first thing that comes to me is the Earth is tilted. Because the constellations, to say that the constellations have changed would then imply, whole lots of stuff, and I don't know if that can be done. But I think when you think about the tilt, I think, yeah, it seems to me.
Is it just the Big Dipper that you noticed that's moved?
No, it's like the whole sky is tilted. That's what I've seen. And so when I noticed this last week, and I went, what the heck? And so I've been up every morning, and it's the same way. So there you go.
Interesting. Now, I know we have some people in the chat room that are proponents of a flat Earth theory. I wonder how they would explain that. Seriously, not trying to make fun or anything.
Well, I don't know. If you look at the flat Earth theory, and I'll just take my water bottle here. And so if you're saying that we're a flat Earth, and this is the concentric point of everything in the universe, then what you could say is that it's turned like that. Because you wouldn't, to imply flat Earth, and I'm not one that believes in that, but everyone's entitled to their belief.
Sure.
It's no different than a mariner's compass. It's waving like this. Even if you're a flat earther, the plane is not going to stay to the ecliptic, is what I'm trying to say.
Interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Cynthia L. agrees with you, Wayne. She says the constellations are not in the same place.
They're not. And, I could say, well, I could get buzzed out about it, but, it just tells me that we're witnessing a phenomenon that modern man probably since, I guess, I would probably say when Mount Vesuvius went off,
And did you know that I believe it was Philo that died when Mount Vesuvius erupted?
Yeah.
I didn't know that until the other day. That was interesting. Nigel, I think, tongue in cheek, but maybe a little more, he says, flat Earth is a psyop to cover up the globe Earth psyop.
In Michael Talbot's book, The Holographic Universe, all of that could apply. It's one of the most fascinating reads. It's quite illuminating.
It is. It really is. And it's interesting to have people that, might believe the flat Earth to talk with if you don't get the kind of people that it's, war. It's, either you believe me or you're stupid when you can actually talk about it. And it's interesting. It really is.
Yeah, I can coexist with a person who thinks it's flat Earth. So, is that in any way interrupting my reality? No, it's not. We're going to separate, and it's the old adage. Well, we're going to agree to disagree, and we walk off in peace.
I do, yeah. But it's so weird when you discover things like I discovered this week, and I knew this, but when you discover that, and you think like Abraham Lincoln, he's on the penny, he's on the $5 bill, Honest Abe, great guy, we love him, and then you find out that it was Honest Abe that started the IRS. It was Honest Abe that started the Federal Reserve. It was Honest Abe that created a false flag to invade people that didn't want to be married anymore and kill millions of people. And it's just like, why didn't they tell us this?
They're not going to tell us anything. It's like, and then when you find it out, they're going to say you're crazy. Oh, you're one of those conspiracy people.
Oh.
You know? And it's like where is his book? Excuse me, his videotape. Yeah. Aaron Russo, you ever saw his programs? Go on YouTube. Check out the one that says I'm mad as hell.
Aaron Russo. I don't think I've ever heard his name before.
Oh, is he a patriot? And was he a prophet ahead of his time?
Is he dead?
Yes. Yeah, he passed on.
Bad.
Yeah. I met him actually through Alex Jones.
They're making the frogs gay.
When I lived in Austin, Alex was just getting started, and he had
Did you actually meet Alex?
Oh, several times. Yeah, many times.
Is he Bill Hicks, Wayne? Is he Bill Hicks? Tell us.
No, he's not. He was a guy that when I met him it was in 1998. And in Austin, Texas, on cable channel, they had an access.
Whatever happened to that? I mean, it just
kind
of went away.
Baby. Yeah. And that was the thing that all the cable companies agreed to do, was to give free public access. They don't do that, and it's still in the law. So what I don't understand, Comcast and all of your markets, why the hell aren't you making, according to the federal law, why are you not allowing the public to have a voice locally?
Wayne, we want equal time.
Yeah, I wrote YouTube. They sent me this little thing for a survey. I let them know exactly where I think of YouTube, the most tyrannical group amongst the big three.
Easy for you to say, Wayne.
Yeah, I know it. But Alex was a cool guy. I mean, his cable program was one that just. He literally had the black helicopters following his ass and some of his cohorts. And, I just shook my head going, are these guys really serious? And come to find out, they are.
I haven't seen anything or heard much from him lately, except, his mea culpas during his trials of, I'm not really that guy. It's a character. And, I don't really believe that Columbine was fake. And, he's definitely under some pressure.
Yeah, I think Alex, it's the price you pay. It's very easy to lose perspective.
It is.
Yeah, money talks. When you're sick and you can't afford what you need to get well, you'll find out just how quickly you can compromise your quote unquote values.
That's a good point. That's a real good point. And even Rocky Stucci was talking the other day. I think we were on with Scotty, and he said that, he was doing semi big time radio, terrestrial radio. And they got to the point where he would actually have advertisers calling him and saying, hey, we don't want you talking about that anymore. And Cliff Desmond, who's in radio in South Florida, would understand what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no such thing as the free access. That's why I'm on internet radio. Yeah. And eventually, Jeff, mark my words, they'll find a way to cut that off.
They probably will. And by the way, I need to let everybody know that tonight at 9 p.m. Central, we're launching a new show called Shut Up and Listen with Rocky Stucci. So I hope that you'll be here tonight at 9 p.m. Central Time.
Let's not have any ambiguity at all. I love that. I'll tell you a story of a person we know. She's unfortunately got dementia, but there's moments of clarity. And the woman from my wife's
sounds like all of us, Wayne.
Yes. And she said, you and I'd get along much better if you just shut the hell up.
I've said that many times and thought it even more.
And this woman's well into maybe her 90s, but the moment of clarity, yeah.
Yeah. I've often thought of offering people a nice cup of shut the hell up.
Now I know this, if there's an entrepreneurial mind out there, but Jeff, you could actually package that. You could actually have your off-brand coffee, have a cup of shut the hell
That's
up.
a great idea.
Think about
Alex
it.
Jones has his own coffee.
Why not? I
I'll have
think we ought to
mine.
incorporate that. I mean, I'll guarantee you it will become a smash hit overnight.
It's a great idea. My son is a coffee roaster, so I'm going to have to call him up.
Make that happen. That one would work.
Somebody write that down for me.
Get it done, and I'll promote it even on mine,
Somebody said something, made a statement the other day that I was in a show yesterday, and it was, how you have that before show talk. Have you ever picked up a book, Wayne, that you've had for a long time, and you look in a page and it's like, wow, that's from a long time ago?
Yeah, a couple of times.
That's from a long time ago.
What it shows is that there's progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or change for sure.
Or change. I don't know about progress.
But somebody brought up the subject of, would you forgive the fallen angels? And the first thing I thought was, how do I know that they're real? How do I know that they're fallen? And what did they do to have forgiveness from me?
Well, when you ask this whole thing about forgiveness, it's odd that you bring that up. We had this conversation yesterday. I had to let some person flat out know that you're into this sin thing. And I said, sin doesn't exist. I said, so which homo sinned? Not gay, homo meaning man.
Sound like some Italian guy. Which one of you homos sinned?
Well, I got 10%. I got 10% Italian in me now. I can actually go there.
What movie was that? Which one of you homos touched my stuff? Bill Murray.
Bill Murray. I think it was Stripes.
It was. Touch my stuff again, I'll kill you.
So, the whole sin thing. Someone said, well, if the devil repented, there's no devil.
Exactly.
Oh, God, I'll tell you. And the person could not comprehend that they couldn't classify Adam. I said, so what version of man was Adam? Was he Neanderthal? Was he Homo articulus, Homo erectus? Which one? He was the white guy, is what the dude said to me. And I said, well, here's a shocker. He was black.
Well, somebody might say that after they found out that they were naked, he was there with Eve, that he was definitely Homo erectus. Just saying.
Yeah, I love that one. I got it.
There is no spoon, Wayne.
No, there is. There's no spoon.
That's what the transmutationist just said to us.
So get back to
I like that.
Yeah, transmutationist. I contend that if sapiens sapiens are in fact a classification of man, we are the biggest failure of all the previous versions of man.
Well, I mean, Homo erectus, or Homo, I'm stuck on erectus.
I know.
Homo sapien sapien. Dude, I don't know if there'll be another generation past us. I mean, we're a wreck.
Well, we wiped out the previous 5 other man species that were here. Sapiens sapiens did it. We did it. And as I contend, if we were on the evolutionary path of ascending to higher level, our intelligence IQ should be well over 2,000.
Right, I've heard you say that.
And it's not. Our lifespan has dipped, but it has never gotten above really the 100-year mark. I don't see where we're that progressed.
Wayne J was just talking to me yesterday. We were on the phone, and he was so flabbergasted he had to call me. He works with a lot of doctors, and he had a couple of doctors back to back tell him that their schedules are so full of 20, speaking of Homo erectus, 20-year-old men who can't get an erection anymore.
Yeah.
This species is dying.
Yeah, we really are. And when you see the advent of what transhumanism is, and it's real, you're seeing males, particularly in countries like Japan, where robotics have been a little bit more advanced. And I'm speaking specifically of sexual robots that are designed, built for that purpose only. Here's the strange thing about it. The males become so attached emotionally, psychologically, to these machines that they cannot relate to actual women.
It doesn't sound a whole like men are all that smart, does it, Wayne?
No, no. Jeff, I had an epiphany this week, my friend, and I did a video on it on Friday. Man is actually artificial intelligence.
I've heard that advanced before.
Yes, that's my conclusion. We are simply AI of a different version.
That's very interesting. And I mean, will it come to the place where in order to keep the population going that they're going to have to put Viagra in the water instead of fluoride?
Well, I have a person that you should have on your show, Nancy Addison. She actually took care of JR. Who was the actor?
Larry Hagman.
Larry Hagman.
Elizabeth doesn't agree with something. I missed what she said she doesn't agree with.
What's that?
Anyway, I don't know.
But when you look at what they have done, the amount of estrogen that is now in the food supply, in the water supply, wow. You said it before. This may be the very last generation.
I think we are. I think we are. Elizabeth doesn't agree that man is AI. That's a. You have to watch the show, Elizabeth, and see what the theory is. I find that one hard to swallow, but I didn't see the show.
Here's the platform. If you're saying man is original intelligence, I ask you to prove that to me. Because even if you have the concept of a God or a superior being, that would be superior intelligence, Elizabeth. So by that alone, that foundation and that peer, you cannot come back and tell me that man is in any way an original thought of anything. If man is in fact intelligent and sentient, then he had to have gotten it from something else. That therefore would make us second generation or at best artificial.
I see what you're saying. Okay, that makes sense. We were created by something that gave us intelligence. We don't have original intelligence.
Same thing we did with AI.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there is, and again, I've been studying Michael Talbot's book in the Holographic Universe. Memory. When they have done experiments, the great thing about the brain is that it feels no pain. If you can localize the scalp and the cranium and pull that apart, the brain feels no pain. So it's allowed for decades, hundreds of years of experimentation. But when electricity came in, they began to find out something. They can't find how the mind works. For instance, they have taken 98% of the visual cortex of monkeys, cut it out. And yet with that 2%, the monkeys can still see the full visual context.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that interesting? And furthermore, when they've taken pieces of brains out of rats and then put them through the maze that they knew very well, even when they deliberately inhibited limbs, the rat, being that impaired, still was able to do it. How? How does memory become so everywhere? It's like when you smell something, how does that memory come about? And what doctors found is that when they, right behind the left temporal lobe, when they put an electrical current to that, it will cause you to see God.
Really?
Yeah.
What does God look like?
Depends on each and every person. It's very different.
Now, one thing I've always found interesting, and I've never done any of this, people that do the ayahuasca or people, and I think it's maybe just the ayahuasca. I don't know if it's mushrooms or not, but they tend to see those elf things. They see the same kind of elf things. A lot of them see that one snake lady. People seeing the same thing. Is that just people are expecting to see it, or what the heck's going on?
I think expectation has a lot in the pre-programming. But someone said something that if you pull my brain apart, no, your brain doesn't feel anything. That's the weird thing about it. It doesn't feel.
Didn't you see the movie Hannibal or the series Hannibal when he was eating the brain right out of the head, just like they do with monkeys? Come on, it's right on TV.
Yeah. But the fact is the brain doesn't feel it. But that to me...
Right, the brain doesn't feel pain.
Yeah.
Machine elves is what I was talking about. Thank you,
Yeah.
Leah and Shawnee.
Yeah. They got it, exactly. It's very bizarre. I mean, and that's how we define consciousness. It's how we define intelligence.
Are we seeing the guys that are building this quote unquote reality?
I think so. Boy, I don't know. You know, they have the one DNA quantum computer now, and it apparently they say it's very reliable, and is what it's showing. It's showing 16 possible futures.
Oh, this computer that's going up now?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Problem is that I always see it is that we're not at the top of the totem pole.
Right.
As Gecko said, what are you, the last guy in the 13-point totem pole? I mean, by the time we find it out, we're already screwed.
We probably are.
So, Jeff,
Crazy.
we live in an age, they call it the digital age, where all of our movements, and this is where AI is being deployed, is that we are now in a digital prison. We just don't know it. And the reason why I say this is that we're being tracked everywhere. All of our buying habits. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. Isn't that how you do an animal? You track it?
Well, we're definitely being surveilled.
Well, surveilled and whatever, but isn't that how you basically track a prey?
Well, not really, Wayne, because an animal, you actually have to chase them down and do a lot of work to get a tracker on them. A person, you just hand them one. In fact, a person will pay $1,000 for a tracking system.
Yes,
so you can keep watch on them.
Small
Who's
business,
the smart one and who's the dumb animal?
Who's the dumb? Yeah. Well, you know, they've now found that apes know how to use an iPad.
I saw that.
Yeah, so that tells you where we're
going. I know
going.
4-year-olds know how to use one. You hand one of those things to my granddaughter, she's all over it.
And now the
really
UN,
sad, in my opinion,
WHO, World Health Organization, is saying take the electronics away from any child, any human being a year and younger.
We really have to worry about babies with iPhones under a year?
Oh, haven't you seen it? I mean, Jeff, the parents now, the cribs actually come with, placeholders for the electronic device.
Get the hell out of here, Wayne.
No, sir, I'm being flat serious.
What kind of a parent would hand a sub-1-year-old kid an iPad?
The same type of parents that put us in front of a television.
You know, I wasn't a great parent, but I didn't park my kids in front of the TV and leave them there. And shame on you. I'll just say it. Shame on you if you're handing your kid an iPad and letting them go.
Well, that's what they're doing.
Lock that little bugger out damn side in the backyard in the fence and make her play out there. Make him play out there just like they did me. 9 a.m. we'd have breakfast. We'd go outside. I'd hear the door locked behind me, and I knew I couldn't get back in until noon. So what did I do? I went and I played and I had fun. We come back in at noon. We eat lunch, go back out here, the same click, and you better bring your ass back here by the time your dad gets home for dinner. That's the way it was.
Yeah, not anymore. And you know, when you were out there, I grew up the same way. We had to use our imagination. They
don't even know what that is now. They can't even imagine what an imagination is.
They have to be stimulated by a program.
And we were playing baseball with sticks and rocks and taking our shirts off. That's home plate. That's second base. That's first base. And we were healthy. We didn't get sick every day. Oh man, it was just a great time.
Summertime, I mean, you and I've talked about it. The soles on my feet were as tough as cowhide.
I grew up in Florida, Wayne. It was all summer.
I did Texas, so but I don't know, Jeff. It's changed. This person I had on
wiffle ball, flag football. Hell yeah!
Oh yeah,
we had a good time. Regular baseball, softball, basketball, kill the carrier, all the greats.
Yeah, boy, those were the days. Worked hard, but we were healthy. I never heard of diabetes. I never heard of ear infections. I never heard of, you got the big ones. Typically you would get the chicken pox, the measles.
Climbing trees.
I have more stitches, from falling, but it never was a big deal. Stubbing your toe. Can you remember that?
Yeah.
How did you do that, man? I mean, but it's
back when we were kids. See, things were different.
But here's the thing. You and Jay, you talk about lifestyle changes.
Do these kids even get grass stains in their clothes anymore, Wayne?
I don't know. They'll be playing virtual reality. That will replace everything.
Here. This is kind of crass, but we used to get grass stains on our clothes from playing, and now these guys are getting another kind of stains in their shorts from sitting around playing video games all the time.
True. Someone said something about a BB gun. I had my BB gun.
Oh, dude, I've shot people with BB guns. That was some fun times.
I mean,
it ain't easy to shoot anybody with a BB gun from distance because those things are round. They don't go where you think they're going to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's just when you grow up on a farm, you do some. Anyway, I won't even go down that road. But it
running
was
around
fun.
trying to see if you can kiss a girl. Remember those days, man?
Yeah.
Good day. That was the days. Those were the days.
Although I was a flirtatious kid, even in kindergarten. Yeah.
You were?
Oh, yeah, I love the opposite sex.
Well, that's what you were made for, Wayne.
It bore out well.
There's a reason they made us male and female.
Yes, it is. And and here we are. But getting back to this point about change, what you and Jay talk about is optimization of one's physiological place.
Yeah, for starters, for sure.
And this Nancy Addison and people who have cancer, diabetes. We talk about fundamental life changes. Today's society is so ingrained that I don't know if it can be done, Jeff. I think that it's become so overwhelming, the lifestyle, the food industry, the way that we feed our young. I wish it would. We would be healthier, but I don't see that happening. It's almost like they're purposely trying to cut short their lives and make the most profit they can off of it.
Yeah. Somebody made a good point. We used to be upset when it was raining. We had to stay inside.
Yeah. Well, there was
not anymore. Those days are over. And I'd go out and play in the rain in Florida because it was, pretty warm.
And today, I don't know what's falling in the rain. As we came on, it gets light here now at 5:30.
Tracy Dyer used to beat up people on the playground. Can you imagine Tracy Dyer?
Tracy.
I thought she was a nice lady. Tracy's out there, give me your lunch money or I'm going to whip your ass. And you better tell your mom not to bring me a tuna sandwich tomorrow.
Don't dare bring that anymore.
It actually happened to my best friend. I have a best friend. We've been best friends since we were 11. And he had these guys that were stealing his lunch and making him pay them money. And he used to get beat up if the mom brought peanut butter jelly. So he'd be in his house crying to his mom, no, not peanut butter jelly. I'm laughing. You
didn't go to his aid?
Dude, they were like 8th graders and we were in the 3rd grade.
He's like, man, you're on your own.
Like, listen, bro, I'll help you run. But
and there is the true, ladies and gentlemen, the true reality of life. Love you, brother, but hey, man, you're on your own out there. I'll see you if you get back.
And let's just don't go to lunch, man. Let's go somewhere else. Oh, no, I got to go. Come on.
Bullies, I love it.
But Wayne, funny, we finally one day, even though they were like really old and we were just kids, what we did is the things you think of, we got a couple of old tube socks. You remember tube socks, right? Yeah. And we filled those things with my backyard had these those little brown river pebbles, in them. And we put about that much of those in a couple of tube socks. And those two came up. And we each, they weren't expecting us to do anything. So we took those tube socks from down here and put them right upside their heads in a rapid motion. We got a little bit of a butt whipping, but they never bothered us again. Yeah,
I bet they didn't. Sometimes you have to take an ass whipping in order to get victories.
Well, it could have been a lot worse. We got maybe pushed or shoved, but it's kind of hard to hit somebody with the side of your face swelling up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not that I recommend that to you kids at home, but every now and then you got to stand up to a bully.
I grew up in a state home,
Didn't you talk about that last week where you squared off with some bully and did get beat up, but after that he was like, "Hey, Wayne, how you doing?"
Well, the guy that came on the campus that where I lived in Burnett Balin, he'd come in to basically start some crap with the guy that I roomed with, James, who was a black guy. And this dude, oddly enough, back there, we called him greasers. You know, he actually brought on a chain, good, I don't know, 2 foot chain. And him and James were going at it, and then he took that chain out. And when I saw that, I ran up and because James was my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a small kid. And, man, he caught me square in the back, broke one of my ribs in the back. And but I never had a problem after that. James, with all the blacks, all the Mexicans, Latinos, no, they didn't mess with me because the word got around at the home that, I'll take a whooping, doesn't matter.
Wow, that's the kind of reputation you want to have.
It saved me from a lot of hard times.
It's almost like being in prison, wasn't it?
Yeah,
in many ways.
Burnett Balin was, it was structured institution, and all the kids there were all abused kids, like I was. And so you had damaged souls of these children. And, the first month was pretty rough. I got my butt whooped a couple of times.
Dude, law of the jungle.
And
you got to step up.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, my dad beat me to almost my death, but when I got in that state home, it was a whole different type of beating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And remember, guys, 9:00 tonight, Central Time, kicking off a new show. Myself and Rocky Stucci, shut up and listen.
So what is the theme of the, you mentioned it, so what is the theme of the program?
Just Rocky Stucci, that's his kind of his little catchphrase, shut up. So I want to say shut up and talk, but I got overruled. It's shut up and listen. So there you go.
I like it. That's kind of cool.
But we hope people will come in the chat room and talk and stuff too.
So what do you think about, I always marvel at people both to the right and to the left, even the centrist. What about this crap going on in Saudi Arabia?
Which crap?
The crucifixion of 37 innocent citizens, and then they hang them in the public display after they crucify them. And then on Friday, they released the story of a 16-year-old who used the app WhatsApp to criticize, I guess, the kingdom. They tortured him by electrocution and then beheaded him.
And yet, the United States still has normalized relations with the Saudis. And yet we won't identify the Saudis as the perpetrators of 9/11.
Crucifixion.
Just because they got a lot of oil in the ground.
And we got more than they do. The United States is now exporting more oil than all of the OPEC countries.
I want to see if Donald Trump is really a stand-up guy, he'll stand up to the Saudis. And if he's not, then he needs to just zip his sizable lips.
I challenge any Democrat to have the balls or I don't know what the women, I could get graphic here, but I won't. Why don't you make a protest? Why don't I see this on MSNBC, CNN? They crucified 37, and guess what? Now you know what their campaign is? Hey, Saudi, come for me. They're coming after homosexuals. I'm not one, but sorcerers. Those who come against any god. Witches.
Let's face it, Wayne. There are a bunch of savages that stumbled upon some stuff in the ground that made them rich, and that's all they are. And
that
they need to be somebody needs to freaking.
I'm going to tell you, Saudis,
do something.
Your kingdom is corrupt. When you're crucifying, where is progress of humanity? I mean, Jeff, it chaps my ass to think that this is allowed in the year 2019. We are not a species that is destined for anything but extinction.
So why do everyone knows that the U.S. Congress and now the White House is Israeli occupied territory? So why do the Saudis continue to get away with this stuff when, the neocons and the Third Templars are in control? Why don't they do something about it?
Yeah. It tells you that they're promoting it.
It's a game. There's got to be an us and a them.
You know, it's found out now that the Vatican is financing the caravans.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Speaking
Thank
of
you,
Rocky
Pope.
Stucci, shut up. Here he is.
You
The
know?
Pope is financing these caravans.
Yeah, yeah.
Why doesn't he bring them to Vatican City then?
Why doesn't he? Why don't they sell some of these properties? And why don't they take care of these governments that, number one, in Nicaragua, Mexico, that are allowing this is a full onslaught invasion against the sovereignty of the United States.
Can I say something really nasty but funny? The Catholic churches are emptying out anyway. Put the immigrants in the Catholic churches.
They might as well. You're right. I mean, the Catholic Church is the single largest real estate holder in the world. Seems like they would have enough of their villas and their fine properties to put up all these people, give them free food, and, you know, do that. Give them everything that they cannot work for in their own countries. You know what you're going to do? You're going to have nothing more than indentured servants.
What would happen, Wayne, if we just flat close the border like President Trump is talking about? Just close it. Sorry, close for business.
We should. It should be absolutely closed and make a statement. But, you know, here's the problem. Trump isn't going to do anything because it's a rigged system. He said it was rigged, but he is part of the rigging of the system. And it just sucks. And, you know,
he's bought and paid for by the Third Templars, no doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
You don't take $1 billion bailout from people. And it's interesting, I saw that because there was 12 banks that agreed to bail him out. One of them, a German bank, would not bail him out and forgive his debt, so the others had to step up and get it. And then I just saw that Deutsche Bank, which happens to be a German bank, was going to release the records they had on Trump's finances. Isn't that interesting?
Man, I'm telling you, the world is changing, Jeff. It's changing so fast. It's just amazing to me. I don't know. I don't see how we can sit here and say that we're a civilized nation when we know that this type of brutality, barbarism, is still taking place in a name of a God that they can't prove any more than any Jew or any Christian can prove.
If we send one more freaking dollar to Saudi Arabia, we ought to have a revolution.
Oh, it's just nuts. It sickens me.
And you know, as I was doing this study on Lincoln, I just realized we right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are living and accepting and cozying up to far, far worse than our ancestors revolted against England over.
Yeah. That was just taxation.
And it wasn't even that big of a tax. If they'd have said, we're going to take 33% of your income, real men and real women would be grabbing bayonets, and just like they did with George Washington. And I don't care if you got the biggest, baddest damn army. I am not going to live as your slave. I will go out trying to take you down, but I will not live as your bitch. What happened to those kind of Americans? What happened to those kind of people, period?
It's because they follow the doctrine of, I heard it said this week that how can something that says it originates from love then use fear to control?
And that's just what they do. It's the fear and guilt control matrix.
Well, it can't come from love.
Now, of course it doesn't come from love.
There can't be no God of love behind this.
Well, Wayne, it's just like the abusive spouse. You know, honey, I only hit you because I love you.
Yeah. Yeah. I laugh because there's some women that'll shoot you and say, now, sucker, hit me again.
Well, there needs to be more of those ladies.
I think so. I'll tell you what. And women, if you hit a man, listen, you just need to expect yourself to have a different attitude. It's the violence. That's just the problem. Why violence? I mean, I don't know, Jeff.
Why did you make me hit you?
Yeah,
Cynthia says
exactly. Yeah. I didn't make you do anything. I don't know, Jeff. I get a lot of emails from people who say they're devotedly praying for me, I write them back and say, please
Please
stop.
don't. Yeah.
You don't waste your breath on that. I mean, if you're using your telepathic powers, then think a favor of me. That's what I want. But here's my point. They keep on telling me that they serve this God of love that I need to come back to. And I ask them, I say, prove it.
Spend 5 minutes in the Old Testament and tell me that he's a God of love.
Yeah.
Somebody said something here that I like. The transmutationist said, and I think this is true. I really do. The controllers are terrified. It's already grown far beyond their control. This is uncharted territory, unscripted. I think that might be right.
Yeah, I think there's probably some truth to it.
I think that might be right.
And if so,
Rocky Stucci's eating a huge bowl of fruity pebbles.
I love that. So, Jeff,
Fruity Pebbles, dude.
I want to recommend a book for you.
Apple Jacks, maybe.
This has been
Cocoa
a book
Pebbles.
that has just taken me aback.
Oh, interesting.
This is from
Wayne, what's your favorite cereal? Come on, tell me.
mine?
Yeah.
Kraken Oats.
What?
Kraken Oats.
What the hell is Kraken Oats?
It is coconut, oats, and cinnamon with molasses.
That's your favorite?
Oh, I love it.
Bro, your mom would let you eat that. Your favorite can't be something your mom would let you eat.
Oh, well, I didn't get cereal as a kid, but no, seriously, back when I was growing up, Wheaties
Lucky
was my favorite.
Charms.
Wheaties.
Wayne, what is wrong with you? Wheaties, that's another thing your mom wants you to eat. You got to like Lucky Charms or Golden Grahams or Sugar Smacks or something like that, or Fruity Pebbles like Fruity Rocky.
I didn't get that when I was a kid. I really didn't.
Oh, I get the tie-in. Fruity Pebbles. I think it was Barney that liked those. And Barney's son was Bam Bam, so that's the tie-in with Rocky. And Lucky Charms, don't even bring them around my house. I can't have them in the house because if they are in the house, I will eat the entire freaking box in one day. Captain Crunch peanut butter, strong candidate. That was some good stuff.
Man.
That was some really good stuff.
And now we know why the kids were going round and around.
Yeah. Golden Grahams is really strong too, except it's hard to eat more than like 3 bowls because you get this like film on the top of your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Shawnee's as bad as you are. Special K with strawberries. Come on, live a little bit, guys. What do you want? I want the healthy cereal with some fruit.
No, when I was growing up,
in you, Shawnee Taro.
My grandmother and grandfather loved Wheaties. And,
Reese's Puff. There's a Reese's cereal.
Oh man!
How did I not know about a Reese's cereal?
Eat one bowl of that and you become diabetic immediately.
I'll bet you do. I'll bet you do.
But it's a strange reality we live in. As we continue to expound in our knowledge and we read, I'll tell you, I don't think
Screw you, Gary Baxter, shredded wheat.
Shredded wheat. That's like Oat Bran.
It is.
Oat Bran, the true Oat Bran. I mean, if you were ever having a regular problem with the plumbing, that certainly unplugs it.
Oat Bran?
Yeah.
Oh, Mandy Armstrong, you're the one. She eats all the marshmallows out of the Lucky Charms. That should be a felony.
Someone else says Kraken Oats has a good flavors to it. It does, I actually eat that like granola,
Wow. Okay.
It's good. It's good.
That's like saying my favorite vice is planting trees or something.
Well, I got the one.
I can't believe no one had mentioned crunch berries.
Oh,
Captain Crunch with crunch berries. They don't really taste any different than the other, but they look fun.
What is the book about?
Wayne.
The Death on Mars. This is by Dr. Brandenburg. We know that there was a nuclear war on Mars. Our government's known it. It seems to have been a discovery that was made back several decades ago. And this book is documenting, apparently there was a very vigorous civilization there.
It sure looks like it. I mean, from the evidence that we can see,
Yeah.
Canals, buildings, water.
So where
But
are
that
the
place got
attackers?
nuked.
It got nuked. Two places that we
They're
know.
either dead or fled to here. Maybe that's where we came from.
That's what he's getting to the point. Where did they go? What was it that happened there? And
Well,
now
Heidi Vandenberg insists that both her and I are from Mars.
really,
Yeah.
and how is that determined?
I have to ask Heidi. I forget how she determined that. I think looking at charts and getting an intuition.
That's interesting.
That is interesting. Rex is not from Mars, however.
Where is Rex from?
Dude, not even Rex knows where Rex is from.
If there's ever the theory that one can exist in multi dimensions at the same time, I would say that
It might be the one, the only Rex pair.
it just could happen. But so this changes the whole narrative. It blows the whole all religions out of the water, because they can't, in fact, exist if this, in fact, happened.
That's interesting. Rex can't be from Sirius. He can't be Sirius for 2 seconds.
Rex is from the fun place. Let's see. Tiamat was destroyed and killed Mars. Nigel, I don't know. No. The evidence here, we know it. We know the isotope that they have located on Mars. The isotope is only one that comes from boosh, nuclear explosions, detonations. So why is that isotope there? That was the first clue. And, of course, the subsequent evidence after that. But it gets back to the point. Who nuked Mars? And he contends it was 250 million years ago.
Wayne, does he talk about Boriska, young man from Mars?
No, this is more scientific.
I don't know what Boriska, young man from Mars is, but Cynthia L. says Boriska, young man from Mars, was spot on about what we know. That's why she dated or what? I really don't know.
I don't know what that is. This is one of the most fascinating books because when you start reading it, you realize that there's something wrong here. And, you and I.
New show, Mork and Mindy and Rex.
When I think about it, Jonathan Winters played that role there with Mark, but
that was funny.
Wayne,
how about this thing? For some reason, I thought about this. I don't know if I woke up last night thinking about it, but this idea that there's no nuclear weapons, it's all fake.
Oh, really?
Have you heard about that?
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I've heard a few people advance that theory, which is interesting. It would be a great way to build a great fear and guilt control matrix. There's these weapons that'll kill us all, and we're going to spend a bunch of money on them, but they're not real. That'd be interesting. Of course, it might be a hard sell to the people in Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
I have an uncle that was part of the Nevada test series, and he's dead.
Yeah.
I tend
to believe they're real.
Whoever is doing that needs to get a grip on history.
And if Mars was destroyed by nuclear weaponry.
Yes.
And isn't there evidence like at Göbekli Tepe that it was something very akin to that as well? And
there's also in the Libyan desert. It's called Libyan glass.
Right.
Only can be formed with superheated.
That sounds like a new kind of meth or something.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Libyan glass.
Break that up and smoke it.
And they found evidence of that near Sodom and Gomorrah as well. They found it as well as in.
Tracy Dyer. Different timelines might not have nukes.
True. Now, Tracy, I can see
interesting.
That. Yeah, that would make sense. I mean,
Wayne, let me ask you a question. And I've been trying to make myself not do it, but there's a lot of people in our genre that have come out of church where when you didn't agree with something or you didn't believe something, you went and asked the pastor. If the pastor said it, you believed it. Why do people that are supposedly woke, people that supposedly are divine, sovereign, and free, that if somebody says something, they've got this go-to YouTube person or this go-to shaman or guru that they'll go and ask that of. And they've got these people that if this person says something, they're going to believe it. no matter what. How can we be where we are and have that ideas? And I just got to say, if there's somebody like that in your life that you'll believe no matter what they say, or you have to go to them and ask what to think, you may not be as woke as you think you are, cousin.
You know how I got over that?
How'd you get over that?
Being in politics.
Mm.
I mean, you know, and the circles that I ran in with were really conservative. You know, you could say we were probably a little bit right to conservative. And
I worked for Pat Buchanan, Wayne.
Yeah, okay, you know. And I can't tell you how many prayer meetings, laying on of hands and seeking God and just anointing this person, and you get them elected, and the son of a bitch will sell you out in a second and not have one bit of remorse or conscience about it.
Yeah. That's probably the reason why Buchanan never got elected to anything. Because he refused to play the game. He refused to play the game. I used to listen to his sister, Bae Buchanan, who was Secretary of Treasury for a while. Brilliant woman, happens to be a Mormon. She would plead with him, Pat, please, you're doing great in the polls. You're moving up. You're within, 6 points of Bush. Just don't say anything stupid anymore. Just be a politician. And I'm standing next to her in Tombstone, Arizona. And Pat's up on the podium, and he's talking about immigration. Pat Buchanan was the original Donald Trump. Donald Trump's entire platform, Make America Great Again, that was Pat Buchanan's America First platform. He's standing up there. We're within 4 to 6 points of Bush, and Pat stands up there and says, "Open immigration," puts a freaking Winchester over his head and says, "No way, Jose." And Bae Buchanan says, "That son of a bitch." He just couldn't help himself.
You know what it is you're talking now, you're bringing back memories. I was really involved in, the Ross Perot campaign. And because I got tired of Bush, and Bill Clinton was the only other choice.
Well, that's why we went Buchanan Brigade, because we were tired of Bush.
Yeah. And it was like, where is it? And, again, it was all a clever plot to split the vote and allow the entree of what would be the unpopular candidate to get in.
Did Perot run in the general election?
Yes.
Oh, man. I think that, and this is going to get me upset, or it's going to get a lot of people upset. But, Perot, he had the guts, he had the courage of his conviction that he ran in the general, even if the Republican Party shut him out. Buchanan ran in the general, even though the Republican Party shut him out. If Ron Paul would have had the testicular fortitude of a Ross Perot, of a Pat Buchanan, and if he would have run third party in that election that he was in with, wasn't it Bush and Clinton?
Yeah.
He might have been able to throw this whole thing into a constitutional crisis, nobody getting a plurality of vote, and we might have been able to get something done, but he didn't have the stones to do it, and he was too worried about baby boy Rand. I say shame on you, Ron Paul. I say you're not authentic because you wouldn't step up when the country needed you. Go ahead and unsubscribe now.
The thing about Ron Paul, he did more damage with the youth. I mean, the youth vote was really behind Ron Paul.
Oh, absolutely.
And when and listen, it's like Obama weaponized the FBI, the Justice Department. Clinton did the same thing with the EPA. The point was that both the Bush administration and even the Clinton administration purposely began the harassment of all Ron Paul supporters.
And why would they do that?
Singled them out.
Because there was something going on. There was a movement.
There was a movement. And the thing about it was the platform that Rand Paul stood on, audit the Fed. Audit the Fed. Show us the freaking gold. If we've got all this gold, then show it to us. Let's see who really do that.
Where is Donald Trump on auditing the Fed? There's a lot of this, but I don't see anything happening.
There's nothing. That's the problem with the man. He's all this. There's very little action, very little substance. And you don't hear anything now. about audit the Fed. I'd love to hear Nancy Pelosi come out and say, we've changed our platform. We want financial accountability. Our first target is we're going to do a full audit for the Fed. You know what, Nancy Pelosi, if you did that, you can assure that in 2020, your candidate would get in.
Yeah. And Kat says, Jeffrey Daugherty for president. Let me just state here, if nominated, I will not run. If elected, I will not serve.
It's like, what were you thinking about, boy?
Man, I just don't know.
That's the problem. And so the fear and intimidation, the message was sent out very quickly. That if you were a Ron Paul supporter, I remember the reports coming in where young people going in from cities to cities, the police pulling them over, harassing them.
Yeah. I know Zach Hubbard. Zach Hubbard, he's a Gematria guy.
Yeah.
Great channel, Gematria News Effect or Gematria Effect News. Very liberal. We've debated on the Electoral College and stuff. And even he admitted, he says, man, I'm out here in the Pacific Northwest. It's a very liberal country. And there was Ron Paul stuff everywhere. Ron Paul had a chance to do something. I don't know if he got paid off, if he got bought off. Man,
it was the strongest. It rivaled what Barack Obama did in 2007.
I agree.
And they put the kibosh on it.
And it's sad. It really is.
It's like YouTube putting the kibosh on you and I. I wrote them. I said, I think it sucks the way that you do this shadow banning. I can't seem to get my numbers above. You know what they said the report last month was? How many new subscribers I got?
How many?
5.
In the whole month?
The whole month.
Oh, that's probably legit, Wayne. Sounds right to me.
Yeah. Previously, for the last 2 years, I was averaging 1,000 to 1,500 a month.
Wayne, I thought that was just me. That was my month last month. I actually had maybe... because I went up and then I went way down, and it was just back and forth. And at the end of the month, I was probably, because usually it's over, 1,500, 2,000. It was like 363 or something. So yeah, it's weird. Of course, I open my mouth too much and say stuff that people don't like.
Well, no, they're doing something. The algorithm is off. I get on average about 12,000 views of my videos. Here in the last week, they're saying I'm getting less than 100 a day.
The only problem I have a little bit of a problem with this, Wayne, because I have a little bit of a conundrum, because if it wasn't for, it is YouTube's, it is Google's platform, and they are allowing us to use it free, so to speak, and they're asking us to follow some rules. So some part of me says, if they are allowing us to use it, and if we don't like it, we don't have to use it, then I'm like, oh, okay, I understand. It's your game. You can set the rules. But then if they're picking and choosing amongst the people and not letting everybody on the same level playing field, I have a problem with that.
Well,
and please, if you're a subscriber of Wayne or mine, go to our channels and make sure you're still subscribed, because a lot of people are getting unsubscribed without their knowing it. So go back and check and make sure.
Please do. And listen, the problem that I wrote to YouTube is that your community standards, they're so ambiguous. I don't know what you're trying to say. You move the yard marker everywhere. I told them as well.
Wayne, there are videos that have like 200,000-300,000 views of, somebody sent me one of these. Why are they banning you? When these women are literally showing their boobs under the guise of, it's a boob job follow-up.
Yeah.
They're showing their boobs, and we can't talk about politics.
They're constantly harassing on the censorship. Makes no sense. And I think that, as I told them, I said, I think you're barbarians in the way that you're approaching this. If you've got technology, stop being tyrannical. And I told them, I said, stop putting your political views ahead of what you were supposed to be doing. Listen, I disagree with you. The only reason why YouTube is allowed to be broadcasting is because we, the American people, are allowing them to be broadcast.
Well, we're supporting them for sure.
And they're making billions off of us each month. So
they are.
Now, one person wrote me and said, well, the way that you do this is that you just don't monetize. Okay, I'm going to try that. but it hasn't worked in the past. I'm still being, in my view, harassed. And I think I'm being harassed on biased assumptions.
I'm wondering, I don't think there's any way to know, but, when they give you a certain amount of money for the advertising, I wonder what that percentage is of what they're making.
I can tell you, you're getting about, I think they said about 3%, 3 or 4% of the take.
Really? So YouTube is making a lot of money.
A lot of money. Did you see what the earnings of Google was?
I didn't.
I think it was $15-16 billion last quarter.
Wayne, I'm not the dumbest guy, but sometimes I have a hard time understanding some things. Can you explain to me how these huge multi-billion-dollar companies with these astronomical profits wind up paying zero taxes?
Yeah, because they've got the $100 million lobbyist. They're writing the rules. They're writing the laws. It's a scam.
Wouldn't it be ethical? And I mean, I tell you what, I think if they put, let's say, 10% tax on everybody across the board, fill out your taxes on a postcard, we couldn't spend the money. Could you imagine if Google got taxed 10% like everybody else?
Amazon didn't pay a penny.
There's no way why a poor slob like us should have to be paying 30%, and those rat bastards are paying nothing.
Nothing. So are we not slaves? Are we not indentured servants to these corporations?
That's what I said. Lincoln freed some slaves to make us all slaves.
All they're doing, they're tyrannical organizations.
And he didn't even really free the slaves, but that's another story.
That is another story.
Did you know the Emancipation Proclamation only applied to areas not controlled by the Union?
Mm-hmm.
And that Grant had slaves up until years after when they finally said, hey, we're going to make this apply to everybody now.
It's kind of what the whole civil rights movement was of the 60s.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, well, when you had Selma, Alabama, you had I remember those days. I remember when the South was on fire because that's when the Klan was still there. They had forms of justice that we talked about the Saudis, but the South in many cases was as brutal in the way that they treated the blacks.
And didn't take too well to the carpetbaggers either.
No. Hangings in the South were very, very common. I'll share a story because I know we're going along, but back in 1971, I was really into surfing anyway. We were pretty high and was on our way down. We were traveling about 4 o'clock in the morning. We had hit the intercoastal.
Did you just say you were high?
An LSD.
Okay. And you're driving.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow. Yeah. And when we crossed over the intercoastal bridge, right off to the left, we'll never forget this, they were having a Klan meeting, a freaking cross burning. And
it's called a cross lighting now. Let's be.
I hadn't thought about that. And, it just hit me. Yes, I was under the influence, but that this kind of stuff was going on, and it scared the crap out of me. I had long hair. I had been pulled over and beaten pretty good by 2 cops. So
just for having long hair?
Just for having long hair.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never got beat up when I had long hair, but when I had long hair, it was cool to have long hair.
Well,
oh God, here we go.
What?
Just the whole transgender thing. I'm not saying there's not some transgender people out there that we don't know are transgender, but is every damn person a transgender? Come on. I've been told that Ryan Reynolds is a transgender and Scarlett Johansson's a transgender. Come on, man.
We were surfers, dude.
Melania is a transgender. Come on.
And we didn't know that term. You know what? I actually find it offensive to be called that because you know what? I don't
think they were calling you one.
Oh, we had long hair because it was rock and roll, baby. I mean, come on. We were giving it to the man.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, folks.
The 60s, you guys, because you're a little bit ahead of me, you guys there's no doubt that you guys were targeted. You guys they came after you because you were about to wake people up, and it was too early. That's why they went after Elvis. That's why they went after the Beatles. That's why they created the Doors. They weaponized rock and roll. They weaponized sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and they targeted you guys.
They did, and
y'all were smelly, but you had some good messages.
We did, and it was. I tell you the thing I still remember, because my birthday was the last year of the draft. I lost a lot of friends over in Vietnam.
Oh, I'll bet.
They didn't come back. And let me tell you something, man. You live in fear the way I did all my life. The fear of thinking about, that's why I went into ROTC. I figured it's like this. If I was going to get drafted, at least I could qualify for officer candidate training.
Right.
And but that's the world we lived in. And then to live in fear of the local police and talk about harassment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wayne, what do you think about this thought? And this is the reason I had long hair for a while, but I just don't know. It all goes back to this one story, and I don't know if it's true or not. Makes sense, but long hair as antennae, long hair as connection to the universe and spirituality. Yes, no, or maybe so.
I mean, I'm going to tell you this. I had my hair as a protest, but I also thought it was a way to be more like Jesus.
Because we all know Jesus had long
hair. Exactly. And I'm not exaggerating here. I mean, to me, it was like, real men had long hair,
Yeah. But think about a lot of the creative people are long hairs.
Yeah, they are. We're rebels. And now I think if Heidi, I like her thing about if you guys are actually from Mars, you think about that. That would bring that certain, I'm not going to take your crap stuff.
Why don't you have long hair now, Wayne?
Because I have what they called wavy hair. It waved goodbye.
That's funny.
And I see a lot of people, a lot of young men now in their 20s and the 30s. And I said, oh, they're getting the hair job. And someone said, what do you mean the hair job? I said, they have a receding hairline. That's 100 rabbits dancing backwards across your head.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you get it. So anyway.
I got it. Hairline, receding hairline.
Get it. There you go. But that's how it is. And I always remember this, the thing about Elijah. Elijah was supposedly bald. And I always remember the story in the Old Testament of the 3 young guys that came out and harassing him.
And what did Yahweh do to them?
Yeah, sent what? The bear, the lion, and what was the other one? Ate them.
Something to eat them. That's the God of love.
Woo! I mean, think about that.
That's the God of love.
And I don't think that was a good way to go either. I mean,
if I think of ways to go, being eaten by a bear is none amongst them.
No. So, what a day, Jeff. Wow.
Eaten by a bear, that would be bad. Because, the bear is not going to just bite you in the neck and get it done.
They like playing with their food.
They like playing with their food, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that can't be a pretty picture.
It cannot be. That's got to hurt.
Damn lions.
That's got to hurt, ladies and gentlemen. That's got to hurt.
Ouch. Well,
there we go, Wayne.
Yeah.
Mandy hasn't cut her hair in 3 years. I went about 2 without cutting mine.
Yeah.
Mine just looks like crap when it's so long.
Well,
just looks bad. And it gets hard to manage,
When did you start were you at one time very dark-headed, wasn't you?
My hair went from being a towhead blonde to kind of medium brown.
Okay.
Unless I had a bad dye job or something, Wayne, when you saw me.
I don't think you'd be the type dyeing your hair.
I did for a while.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't seen that, but
I did.
Yeah. Daryl Waltrip was like,
dude, I'd go in the chair and sit there the whole thing, the little tinfoil on your head and under the dryer. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I went full. What do they call that?
That's a full beauty shop thing, man.
What's that thing called where you're I can't remember what they call it, but it's not bromantic. It's metrosexual.
Okay.
All the way.
Metrosexual. There's another. And then what is the new one now? It's digital. There's something now. with sexual orientation doing with
Digisexual, I think they
thank
call
you,
it.
digisexual. There you go. Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but I don't like it. I'm not for it.
I mean, what happened? What happened to us? What point did we get off the interstate? You know, I'm looking around going, we're not in Kansas anymore.
We are not in Kansas.
I mean, somewhere along the line, Jeff, I don't even know where we are.
Well, I don't know where we are either, but
Well,
we're gonna make the most of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go celebrate my wife's birthday today. So,
oh well, happy birthday to Lynn.
I will let her know that. Love that woman. You know, love
Happy
that
birthday.
woman of mine. You know, wasn't that Porky?
I don't think Tracy's married.
Who?
I don't think Tracy Dyer's married.
I don't know. You know.
And to close out the day, Pisces 69 says, "Call me crazy, but I prefer regular human sex to robot sex."
No, I call you Jimmy. And again, I don't know what normal is. What was the definition normal is? Normal.
Tracy wants everyone to know she's not married.
She's not married. All right, folks.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Love is in the air.
Yeah. Love is in the air in Missouri, ladies and gentlemen.
I love it. Dark Truth, I'll let her know that. Thank you. She has added such a dimension to my life. Anyway, yeah.
As long as she doesn't have dementia, you'll be good.
You know, she takes care of a lot of people.
Yeah, so if you get that, you're in good shape.
Well, I don't see it happening, but
yeah, I don't either.
It's alarming though. I got to tell you, when she gets people admitted that are in their 50s,
wow,
50s with signs of Alzheimer's, dementia.
Oh, that's horrible,
Jeff. That is freaking alarming. Do you know what they won't let you do? That's
why we're the last generation of real humans.
You can bring this up with Jay. Y'all to look into this. Do you know that you cannot get a blood test to test the heavy metals in your blood?
Really?
No, insurance companies won't cover it. In fact, I've asked the company that does the blood work. They won't do it. They won't do it unless they have a doctor's orders.
And here's another one, Wayne. This really pisses me off. This shows me zero intellect. This shows me stupidity. This shows me hive mind. Somebody called Coon Yang Company. And I just hate this stuff. Wayne just flashed the 666 symbol. Seriously? You stupid, moronic fool. Get the hell out of here. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you, you piece of shit.
What? What? When did I do that?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, anyway.
I'm sorry. That was old Jeff. I just got mad.
You know, folks, there is no Satan. There is no Lucifer. The only devil is the one that you create.
That's right.
God, when they won't listen, Jeff. They won't listen.
They won't. And it doesn't mean even if you yell at them, they still won't listen. I've discovered that.
No.
Keyboard cowboys.
Adam says Jeff is angry.
Well, I'm actually surprised that the person took the time to clean the Cheeto dust and chocolate off their fingers so they could type that. So I should give him props.
You know, Jeff.
They're still wearing an adult diaper, but
that's why we do the show. You are an edifying presence in my life.
Yeah, that's what everybody says, Wayne.
It's true. I'm not making jovial statements. You are a great edification. You really are.
Well, I appreciate that, Wayne. You know what it is right now?
What's that?
It's blueberry pancake time.
My wife's cooking.
Boom.
But I'm taking her out to lunch. So
good for you. Take her out to lunch. Take her out to dinner.
Yeah, I love that.
Treat her right.
All right. Jeff.
Happy birthday, Lynn.
I'll tell her that.
We should all sing happy birthday to her.
She'll come.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, Lynn.
Happy birthday to you. Everybody. Happy birthday, dear Lynn. Happy birthday to you.
And many more. As they say. Let's see. 666 Lucifer. What a joke. Yeah. All right, my friend. Have a successful show tonight. I just invoke great success upon you, Jeff.
Shut up and listen. 9 p.m. Central with Frankenberry. That was a good cereal. Yeah. Rocky Stucci.
Yeah. Well,
Count Chocula.
Thank you, everyone. I'm seeing all these birthday things. I'll let Lynn know. Y'all are great.
All right. Beth said she hummed it. She doesn't sing.
Yeah.
Wayne, good to see you, brother. Good to see all of you in the chat room.
Thank you,
Let's do it
Jeff.
again next week.
Let's do it. I enjoy it.
All right. Take care. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye-bye.